3, 1. Hey, thanks for stopping by. My name is Joe. What's your name?
Eric. How you doing?
All right, I'm doing amazing, man. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, for you coming, I'd like to let you know I got something for you. It's one of our hats that we have for our clinic. It just has a little L on here, plus our logo. And I want to just say, hey, this is a token of my appreciation for coming over.
Thanks,
Set the day where you want.
Appreciate you.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you kind of from, and kind of where'd your career kind of start at? Like, what did you do before you came to San Antonio?
Yeah, I grew up in far north Chicago suburbs. Moved down here in 2011, thinking I was going to be a firefighter because I was doing in the fire service up there
Sure.
after I got out of the Marines.
Yeah.
So I was in the Marines from 02 to 06, and then got out, went into the fire service, and was a paramedic up there for a number of years. Moved down here 2011,
Yeah.
and then started working at SeaWorld of all places. Was running their security team and dispatch center over there, and then moved over to now currently with SAPD. Started as a dispatcher, was a supervisor for operations there, and now I'm training all of our new hires. I'm a training officer for the communications unit.
Amazing, amazing. So you said you were in the Marine Corps for about 4 years. One, thank you for your service. I appreciate that. And then tell us more about what you did in the Marine Corps. I'm pretty interested to know.
So I was an armorer by trade, so fixed weapons. Sat in a locked cage full of guns.
Yes,
all day.
I know.
So good times, but deployed all over. Main stationed out of Iwakuni, Japan.
Oh.
Went to Thailand twice. Went to Sri Lanka for humanitarian assistance after the giant tsunami in 2005, 2006 or 2005.
Sure.
Korea, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Okinawa before all of those, and then just kind of floating around. One up in Iraq in 2006, and then ran around as a machine gunner up there in convoys. And, yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. So, tell us more. Can you kind of explain what led up to you going on to like testosterone replacement therapy and weight loss and stuff like that? Like, what was the point you said, hey, man, something's just not right. I'm going to explore some of these options. And like, what were your symptoms, or what made you like take that leap? That's what I kind of want me and my, patients and listeners to kind of like get a grasp, like what were you experiencing? What made you go forward?
Yeah. Getting out of the Marines in 2006 at 24 years old was, you're at the peak fitness.
Sure. I can imagine.
Stay up for days, run for miles, and do it again.
Yeah.
And then fast forward nearly 20 years later, and not paying attention to what I'm intaking, not putting out enough.
Sure.
And then the realization came like last November. Saw that scale hit 306 pounds, and I said, it's just got to go.
Something's got to change.
Yeah.
So like, what was that made you change? Like, what was that spark? What led you to that?
It's my family, man. I got 2 young kids. I got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they're both feral. And so,
I think we all have some feral children. Yes.
Yeah. So just trying to keep up with them, it was exhausting. I have a high stress job.
Sure.
And then coming home, you want that to be the reprieve, right? But it's families are only stress free.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just turned around that I couldn't keep up. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to come home, sit down, and just kind of be left alone. And then I was exhausted all day. And I was working till 10 p.m. So everything's closed at that point. So getting a healthy meal, unless I brought it, was almost
correct.
Next to impossible without investing in it. And I wasn't, because when I got up, it was take a kid to school, try to find some me time.
Sure.
And then, but it was always, I saw the kids or I saw my wife. Now, with a little bit of change in career path within the same unit, I get to see them all. And now I get to focus on myself too.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Just seeing that scale was the real tipping point. I've battled high blood pressure for years, and, just all sorts of, I'd like to not have to be on medication if I can, control that, minus obviously, something to make myself only better, not to just put a Band-Aid on it.
Okay. So before, you started therapies and things like that, did you try to diet and exercise and things like that? Can you kind of go through some of the things you may have done beforehand? Did you try to do anything at all?
Yeah, I tried it the good old fashioned way. Tried to go for walks and runs, and then the body just didn't want to keep up.
Yeah,
Because I hadn't maintained it. You tried all the fad things. Lost a little bit of weight. With keto, and then
sure.
put more on when I stopped that.
Gotcha.
I never really did a whole lot of like vegan or you know I went down that route trying to find some food sensitivity stuff,
Sure.
but never really as a long term thing. And it
Gotcha.
just kind of was like, I'll do it one day.
Gotcha.
And that one day, just realized how far behind I was.
Really behind. Okay. So when you did start testosterone replacement therapy, did you notice like what was the thing that you could tell somebody like, hey, this was my experience when I started. Like, can you talk about like waking up in the morning? Was it more difficult to get out of bed? Was it more like, I want to hear about some of the positive things about starting testosterone therapy in
Yeah,
your own words.
sure. Ultimately, it was the brain fog really cutting down. Felt motivated. That was the thing. It was almost like an internal switch went on. Like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
these this chemical is now in your body where it wasn't.
And the job that you have, brain fog is probably not a good idea to have
Yeah.
with dispatch and police. And so that's good. That's a positive. Is there any other positive you'd like to discuss?
You feel young again in the right ways.
Sure.
But at the same time, just you could feel results when I started working out again.
Yeah.
Ditched the big three because I'm not trying to set any world
Mm-hmm.
records. Went to kettlebell training, and it's made a world of difference in mobility. But you can see the results.
Gotcha.
I was working out and putting on big weights and doing all the big three before,
Yeah.
and all I felt was mass. Like I never felt like I was, but it wasn't like good mass. I just felt swollen.
Sure.
How about that?
Completely understand.
And it wasn't like any superior size. I just felt like I just got thick.
Yeah.
This I feel leaner,
Okay.
but solid, like a good foundation being underneath. So I could feel the results actually in the way I want it. I wanted the body composition to change, be smaller. I'm down, in a year's time, nearly 50 pounds, like 46 pounds as of this morning.
That's good.
Yeah. And just by working out 3 times a week, supplementing with, the testosterone and the semaglutide, if you want to put my business out there. I know
That's
we said
fine.
we
That's
weren't,
that's totally up to you to do that.
but just not like a, Hollywood dose of the semaglutide, just enough to hit that insulin spike, and but just enough to have the ball start rolling my way instead of against me.
Yeah, completely understand. So then you're starting to see when you do work out, like because I asked you before, like what were you doing before? Did you see any results when your hormones are out of whack?
No, it was
No.
it just I felt like I was just maintaining whatever I was putting in my face.
Gotcha.
I couldn't get ahead,
Gotcha.
and this kind of turned that rolling ahead momentum.
Perfect. I'm gonna check this in. We're still recording. Okay. I'll have that cut out. So give me like a few seconds for us to like be able to cut that. All right. So can you talk about any of the positive things like energy around kids? Were you like better towards your wife? Like what about family? Like, was there any positive outcomes from being on testosterone replacement therapy, as well as losing the weight and feeling good about yourself? Like, was there a change within your family dynamics?
Yeah, for sure. Because it got my wife involved in working out, which is fantastic,
yes.
right? We were doing it together for a while, but keeping at the time like a 1.5 to 2 year olds,
right,
without cracking them in the face with a kettlebell.
Sure, understand.
So we started switching it up a little bit, make it just the life dynamic a little bit better. But both kids will come out and want to participate as well.
Right. I think
so.
That's
just
amazing.
Trying to set that example.
Sure.
Like it's never too late to. I started my career over in public safety at 38. I'm about to turn 43 next week. So at this point, there's no excuse to not be who you need to be for your family, and this is just a part of it.
Gotcha.
Better attitude. I found myself, having to be on some other medications, outside of, fitness wise. Um, and I think that's going to positively affecting my mental health, positively impacting the dynamic between my wife and I, between my kids and I, and the whole unit, and just more cognizant of my own actions rather
Gotcha.
than just running around being all emotional.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Yeah, I've noticed a big difference in my like, not to bring myself in this at all, but like before I started testosterone replacement therapy, I was like road raging a lot,
Mm.
yelling at folks, like really just short tempered. And you would think, when you have a really high testosterone, or like, how about an optimized, I should say, you don't feel that way anymore.
Right.
You just don't. Like you're more relaxed and calm, which which is really good for people in your job and my job as well in the emergency department and doing these consultations for weight loss folks and hormone balancing and things like that. So
Well, I think that's the word. I think the balance came back.
correct. Yes. So I mean, we have you on a fairly modest dose of testosterone. There's a lot of, and now I'm going to speak a little bit about our clinic. What we do is like we're more of a hormone optimization clinic. We're not a testosterone clinic. We're not like a T clinic. We're not trying to put you on 200 milligrams every week. We're not trying to smash your estrogen. We're literally trying to get you to a place of health. We're trying to get you to what I like to refer to like fields of medicine, either like category 1, category 2, category 3. Where category 1 is all the pre things you need to do before you go into category 2, which I call your primary care manager. So getting into a good health, good routine of exercise, good diet meaning you're not restricting, you're actually putting in the better types of food for yourself, and then just monitoring what you're doing is far superior to waiting until you get diabetes and then you're the primary care manager and you get put on medication for diabetes, only to have that evolve into what I call category 3 medicine, where you come to see me in the emergency department where now you're in DKA or you're hypertensive, or you're having a stroke, you're having a heart attack. A lot of our chronic diseases in America now stem from poor metabolic health. And what metabolic health means is how are we regulating our blood sugar? How are we regulating our adiposity? How are we regulating our mental health? Things like that. So this is where Dr. Cash and I step in and try to help people achieve some of the positive outcomes that you are. Like, not that we speak one word about going to the gym and being completely jacked and talk about our being tanned and all this other stuff. We're literally like trying to find a great balance for men and women, because we have an equal amount of women in our practice, to get balanced out, to feel amazing. Now, men, very easy to treat because your testosterone is low. We look for a reason why your testosterone low. Is it your DHEA? Do you have a prolactinoma? Do you have a large amount of estrogen? Is there something that we can do before we place you on testosterone replacement therapy? We do that with multiple amounts of patients. We try not to put people directly on testosterone replacement therapy immediately. And we do a very broad and a very wide-ranging round of like biomarkers, looking for, is there a reason for your low testosterone? And if there is a reason, we try to correct that first when we put you on testosterone. And if it's not, and we'll usually do that for 6 weeks, or maybe 8 weeks or 3 months, and keep you on supplementations, maybe change what kind of food you're kind of putting in your body. And we kind of talked about some of the exercises you can do to kind of help with adiposity and to kind of muscle build and decrease your blood sugars and stuff like that. So, and that's just kind of what we do. We're more of a results-based and a results-driven practice, more than a testosterone replacement mill where you go in and you're getting injections once a week by someone, or you're constantly called and hounded and stuff like that. We just typically don't do that. So what could you tell anyone that potentially was thinking about coming to my practice? Like, what do we do to win you over? What was the thing, like, hey man, like I want to refer you to this clinic because of this. And you could be nothing. You could be, oh, the guy's really smart, or how does that go for you?
Ultimately, it's the ability to have this, and see the provider in person, and actually not just be, a face. Hey, I'm in, check the box, I talk to my patient, and
Right.
I'm gone. Feel like we've known each other for a very long time, when it's just not the case.
True.
We've known each other on and off for 2 years.
Yeah.
And when I had started this journey and wanted to go find that kind of route, knowing that that's kind of need to get my health in order. And, when I found out that you were, local and able to take care of your patients the way you do,
Mhm.
that's what won me over. I mean, we
I
have a mutual friend that couldn't talk more highly about you.
appreciate
So,
that.
and I'm doing the same now. So, I'm here to, be able to not only support, people that are, veterans as well, small business,
Sure.
for now. Um,
Yes. Thank you.
and then, but also the people who are doing it the right way for the right reasons, not just, cranking it out because they can, taking care and making better human beings. That's
Yeah,
it.
I really appreciate those words, man. That's we, Dr. Cash and I speak about that all the time. Like we get more of a satisfaction of hearing positive reviews, which we have multiple on our website. We're getting Google reviews as well. Like we really enjoy hearing, because I spend 20 to 30 minutes with all of our patients on the phone. All of our appointments are 20 to 30 minutes each time. So it's not like an in and out kind of thing. And I really sit there and talk to, and mostly all my patients are folks that I actually know. In the beginning, that's just how it goes. And I'm really, I get a sense of satisfaction and greatness of like actually truly taking care of someone,
Sure.
and telling them, hey man, this is how this is what's going on with you. And here's how we can actually help you try to either correct it, or, this is going to be the road that you're going to be on the rest of your life. So, and then, and we'll kind of wrap this up because I know you got things to do and I've got a million things to do too. I really appreciate you coming down all
For
the way
sure.
from the other side of town to come over here. Um, is there anything that you could think of that you might want to put down, or is there any other positive or any negatives? How about, were there any negatives to any of this treatment? I guess that's a better question, because everyone has well, what if I do this and what if I do that? What if that's going to happen? Like there's a lot of what ifs and a lot of like frequently asked questions that we really didn't go over. We talked about the positives, but have you noticed any negative side effects or anything like that at all?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, just ultimately, I mean, with the weight moving down and just the body composition going the right way, and seeing muscle, where I mean, some of the definition that I have in my thighs, humble brag, I haven't seen,
Yes.
even when I was, in my best shape,
Yeah.
because I wasn't worried. I was built to run and go forever, not
Sure.
necessarily be only strong or only endurance.
Gotcha.
I had to be more well-rounded. Now I can kind of, the body's taking over and shaping itself the way it needs to be, not how I want it to be,
Got it.
necessarily. But negative wise, I mean, other than just it's hard to take this stuff and go on vacation, internationally and things. But
Okay.
I mean, that would be the one thing where like we went on a cruise, have to
Yeah.
leave it at home for a week,
Okay.
and then you skip a dose or two, and just but if you make it a priority, right? You'll remember to do your injection. You'll remember to go work out. Um, you know, I think it just makes it easier when you see the results and feel the results. It makes you want to
Yeah,
keep
no,
doing it.
I think you're right. Like, I mean, when you see and feel results, you're more motivated to go even a little bit more and
Right.
more. And it's good because you mentioned earlier, like your kids are going to see that you're out there doing things for your health. Your wife is now picking things up for her health, and that's a positive. That's a net positive, no matter
Yeah.
what's going on. I mean, and you're feeling younger. You're like, obviously you're getting promoted at your job. Like there's a lot of benefits from this. So um, I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Yeah, just go to our website, www.hoothrt.com. That stands for Hormone Optimization of Texas, Hormone Replacement Treatment. Not so much the owl, but it's Hoot HRT. I put the owl in there so you would remember what the hoot meant. So my name is P.A. Ham. I'm the owner and partner, as well as one of the providers here at Hoot HRT. Dr. John Cash is our medical director and also a provider at Hoot HRT. And we look forward to talking to you at any one of your appointments and or new consultations. Thank you. Bye, everybody.